Christa, could you please join us? Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Yeah. We're going to do some technology here. I was so excited. I just got my Mac from work, upgraded, refurbished, whatever, refreshed, and it's an M1, and it has the HDMI built in, which is lovely. Hey, technology. All right. Being fine dog fine is not fine. Now, for many of you in the audience, you are super familiar with this little guy. How many of you maybe have the stuffed fine dog that they released a number of years ago? Anyone have the actual stuffed animal? Yes. How many of you have that animal or like a picture of it or something as like the icon for the person who's on call? Because I've seen that as well. So the fine dog, for those of you who don't know what the heck the fine dog is, he lives in a little house that's on fire and he's sitting there drinking his coffee and all he has to say about it is, "This is fine." So that's him. These days we have people on YouTube. Stephen He is like my favorite dude, and that's the guy who goes, "Emotional damage," right? So I feel like in today's world, if you combine the emotional damage guy and the fine dog, we've probably hit like our new mascot epic level. Like, I think if you put them together, that's where we are. So being fine dog fine is not fine. Hey, I'm here to talk about mental health, and I just want to take a minute and let you all know that it's entirely possible that this talk could be triggering for some of you. I want you to feel 100% empowered to leave if at any time you feel triggered. If you need some space, I want you to reach out to anyone from the Code of Conduct crew who was introduced earlier, or find one of those fine folks with the black t-shirts and the black badges. The t-shirts say crew on the back, and they will guide you to a safe space so you can take a break and decompress. Mental health is like an intense topic, and I'm also going to go through some things that are causing some triggers for some folks right now. So I just wanted to put this up here, trigger warning, and if you need to get up and leave, go for it. Feel empowered to do so, and we have a safe space if you need one. All right? Okay. My name is Christa Meck. I am the Cloud Engineering Manager at Contrast Security. I have been working there for about a year and change now. I am based in Austin, Texas, U.S. So yes, we did come from the U.S. here to Eindhoven to speak at DevOps Days. So thank you very much for having us. I have seen some things. I've been in the industry a very long time. I started my career in 1990. I've worked at day one startups. I've worked at really big mega corporations, some corporations that were really popular in the town I went to college in, were Kodak, Xerox, and Bausch & Lomb, and that's Rochester, New York. And then I've also worked in regulated industries. I worked for the gas and electric company in Rochester, New York. And in Austin, Texas, I worked for a company that made slot machines. So that's gambling, which is a regulated industry as well. So I've kind of seen one of everything. I've worked in video games. I've worked in like a whole bunch of different industries and different spaces, different size companies. I'm not a licensed professional. Like, I don't have a degree or anything that kind of makes me like qualified to stand up here and talk to y'all about mental health. This is just some of the stuff that I have seen over my career and through all these different journeys and all these different places. I'm just a person like you who has lived through, at a minimum, the last couple of years. I think I was saying last night, or maybe even the night before, it seemed like since 2020, we're all been like, okay, last year, whew, that was crazy. And then like the next year comes and you're like, well, last year, whew, that was crazy. And then the next year comes and you're like, why am I keep saying this? What is going on? It's like every year it's more and more and more crazy. So yeah, we have been through a lot of stuff just in the last couple of years. Like, forget however old you are, however many years there were before that. Like, the last couple of years have been really intense. Each of you in the room might be in a different place. Some people may have like a very small apartment. Some people may have a bigger house. Some people may have kids. Some people may not have kids. Some people may be caring for someone in their household or nearby, like a family member. We're all in a different space and a different time, and each of us has different resources available to us. So when we're talking about some of the strategies you can use later to help manage your stress, realize that they might not all fit for you. Whatever suggestions I have, they might not fit for you. They might not be the right one for you, but there's some ideas, and hopefully you can at least take them and bounce off of them later. All right, mental health awareness. It's like mental health is really kind of getting its big spotlight, and it's so refreshing. We had World Mental Health Day just recently. It was the 10th of October. Did anyone's company do anything for World Mental Health Day? Yeah, a couple people in the audience. I know. I think we had a meditation session and some stress management on that day. So that was really good to see. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. I know a lot of times when people are saying mental health, we're really only focusing on kind of the scenarios where people are having challenges. It could be something as simple as I just had like a really bad day today, or it could be something way more complex that I'm working with a specialist on. But we tend to focus on those, and we forget that mental health encompasses this whole giant array of things, and we have a lot of things that are impacted by mental health. So, think about this. Mental health and our current state impacts the way we think, the way we feel, the way we act, how we handle stress, how we relate to each other, and also our ability to make healthy decisions. I can tell you, for me personally, when I am tired and I have had a bad day and I just don't want to deal with it, when it comes time to make dinner, like that box of what we call macaroni and cheese in the pantry, it's easy. It has zero nutritional value. It's probably the least healthy thing that's in my household. But that looks really good. Or for some people, it's a pint of ice cream or a chocolate bar or whatever. That's the kind of stuff where if you're worn down from, whatever kind of stresses you've had over the day, it's really hard to make those healthy choices to feed your body so that you can keep going through the next day and the next day and the next challenge and the next challenge. So just take a minute and think about that your mental health and your whole state of being mentally impacts all these other different areas of your life. And it's super important at every stage of your life, whether you're a child or whether you're an adult, young adult, teenager, if you're someone who's more mature, as I would say, going on through adulthood and past through adolescence, mental health is always important. Doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, what your social status is, anything like that. Mental health is important. Where you live, all these things. And mental health can impact and influence so many different deals. I tried really hard to get all these in the puzzle pieces, so for those of you who maybe are looking at angles and perspectives, I apologize for the bad UX up there. But yeah, there's all these different things that mental health impacts or influences. I mean, it could be something so simple as, I was just talking about, your physical health. Maybe I just cannot get out of bed today to go work out. That would be an impact on your physical health. Or on your relationships, I don't really want to people today. Or maybe I'm in a really super good mood and I really do want to people today. So there's both sides of that coin, right? Mental health impacts and influences. If you're having negative mental health at the moment, it could be linked with you being a victim of crime more easily. More susceptible, putting yourself in situations where you could become a victim of crime. Mental health impacts and influences your emotional well-being. Some of those days, everyone has days that are where you're really, really like on the top of your game, and everyone has days where you're not so on the top of your game. And, going through those ebbs and flows in life are perfectly normal, but it's when you get stuck in one state or another where things aren't going so great, because being happy all the time is definitely one level of a problem, and being not so happy all the time is definitely a different level. So it's important to make sure you have those ebbs and flows, and that helps keep you even, positive and negative, they come together. If you're having positive mental health, it can help impact or it can help curb suicide rates. If you're having negative mental health, obviously that's increased suicide rates. We've heard enough about the statistics on that one. I'm not going to mention any of the details on that, but mental health does impact and influence suicide rates. We are talking about it more, so we're ending the stigma, hopefully, with mental health, just getting out there and even talking about it. Hey, how are you feeling today? You having a good day? Hey, I noticed that maybe in the meeting you weren't as engaged as normal. Is everything okay? Or, if someone just says on Slack, hey, I gotta go, I'll be back later, check in with them later. Hey, is everything okay? You all good? Like, ending this stigma, just trying to get more people to think about what their mental state is and what their mental health is looking like, and then checking in with each other and making sure that we're being good stewards of all the other people that we work with and interact with every day. Mental health impacts and influences, again, I was mentioning crime earlier, victimization, kind of a fine line on those, but same thing. If you're in maybe more of a negative space, that increases the likelihood that you'll be a victim of some sort. There's societal factors. I did mention some of these a little bit. On the last slide, I was talking about it doesn't matter what age you are. We were talking about age more and how mental health is important at any age, but also there's all kinds of societal factors that can impact your mental health, your ability to get access to mental wellness things, whether you're in a lower income area or a higher income area, or you're in an area that is more of, I know they're always talking about a food desert, if you're somewhere where there's maybe not good quality food, or if you're somewhere where there's not really easy access to any kind of medical care or supplies you need, no matter what they are. So there's all these societal factors that can play in too. So we want to make sure that we're aware of that. I know that there's people who are displaced from all kinds of different cultures and countries right now for all kinds of various reasons. And those folks are facing huge societal factors. I mean, it may be even something so simple as a language barrier of like, I just can't even read the signs to find the right thing, or I don't know how to fill out the proper paperwork to get access to the stuff, the services that I need. So societal factors are huge impact here for mental health and wellness. Impacting your quality of life. If you're have an even mental health keel, then you're probably going to have an even quality of life keel. Sometimes it'll be good, sometimes not so good. But definitely keeping your mental health cared and fed is a really good way to increase your quality in life. Community building, I was just talking about some of the different ways where we can erase the stigma of mental health and help other folks in our area. If it's like a reach out program or something like that, support program of any kind, even if it's something so simple as going to walk the dogs at the pet adoption place. I know a lot of people like to do that, or going to interact with some folks at a retirement home and maybe learn a new skill from them. I used to volunteer at a place, and I had a lady teach me how to crochet a certain pattern that I had been having a hard time with. So that was really fulfilling for me. Financial stability also, if you're having negative mental health, you're probably in not the best financial state, because they end up going together. So it can be a weird spiral, right? If your pocketbook is tight, or maybe it's just not, you're on kind of the underside, not doing so good on the money, that's a huge amount of stress, which impacts your mental health. which you take then your super stressed out self into your work, and then it kind of feeds in on itself. And then productivity, back to around to the last one. I know if I'm just not feeling all that great on a day, I'm not super productive. So it's a huge puzzle piece that comes together and makes this giant puzzle of all the different things that mental health, wellness can impact and influence. This is one of the slides that may have some extra trigger warnings for some folks. The impact of stress on daily life. This is actually a graph I got from I think the World Health Organization. I put a link to it in the references so you guys can go check it out later. But the most impacted groups of people on this slide were women, people under 35 years of age, people in low-income households, and people who are unmarried. I don't exactly know what unmarried means because for marital status, it was married or other. So, not really sure who all that counts, but so maybe take that one with a grain of salt. And maybe that one's not the best. But I was really shocked by the under 35, the percentages of people who, like the first row there is felt stressed to the point where you felt it had an impact on how you live your daily life. Like 41% of people under 35 have felt that. Like, that's crazy. Felt stressed to the point where you felt like you could not cope with or deal with things. 40% people under age 35 have felt that way. Felt depressed to the point that you felt sad or hopeless almost every day for a couple of weeks or more. 35%. That's crazy. And felt stressed to the point where you couldn't go to work for a period of time. 24%. And on the household income, that was 23% as well. So that was a really high one for that group. And then considered suicide or self-hurt. 17%, with 15% in the low income. There's really staggering figures for me to see. That there's just an entire group of people out there that are having this level of stress every day. So when you're working with some folks or you're interacting with some folks, I want you to just take a minute and think about this, that there is a lot of stress out there, and people are feeling it. I mean, feeling it with capital F. Top stressors of 2022. I said at the beginning of my talk that every year for the last couple of years, it seems well, there's no way, this is it. There's no way anything can outdo this year. Then what? Why? But yeah, I mean, right now we've got politics. I just did say at the beginning, I am from the U.S., so if you have some difficult questions, I can try to answer them for you, but hey, I don't know a lot about what's going on over there either, and I live there, okay? You can catch me later. I'll try, but yeah, it's crazy. War. I think probably most of us in this room never thought we would have that in our lifetimes, and there it is. Economics. I heard we were talking about the prices of houses. I know what they are in the U.S., and I heard that they're equally fun here, and also in a couple other countries nearby, they're equally fun. So it seems like, economy and inflation is definitely a problem, a global problem right now. Climate change. We had a really good presentation yesterday on climate change and the impact there. Pandemic burnout. We're talking about, okay, COVID's over, but is it sort of? I don't know. It's winter flu season, so who knows what's going to happen, right? And global hunger. Global hunger has been a thing that's been in the news a lot lately. And actually, hunger kind of fills in with some of the other ones. Definitely, there's people displaced. The whole supply chain is a hot mess. Although you can get pictures of bananas, I heard, at the grocery store. But yeah, so I mean, there's all these different things that are combining to be the top stressors of 2022. So that's a lot of stuff, but that's a lot of big stuff. It's not just I sprained my ankle 2 weeks before I came on vacation where walking was going to be a huge part of my vacation. Okay, well that sucks, but that's not this. This is big stuff we're thinking about over here. And because I'm at the DevOps days where there's a lot more traditionally men in this career than women, I want to take a minute and talk about toxic masculinity. If you have no idea what that guy is, his name is Chopper. You can look him up. He is not politically correct. He's not correct in any way, shape, or form. The whole thing is just like a skit to be like as the manliest man you could possibly man is really his whole deal. But toxic masculinity, it's a thing. Guys, and I'm sorry about the pronouns here, so there we go. But you've been kind of programmed to be self-sufficient, not show any signs of being weak or any kind of pain or any emotion. It's just like, I'm the man and I must have this like blank slate. Men should figure out their own personal problems. Like asking for help is the biggest crime you can commit, which it isn't, by the way, just for the record. And acting tough. Like you should always act strong and like be the man, even if you feel scared and nervous. None of these things are true, by the way, not a single one. And that's really toxic. And I feel bad because if we go somewhere and I just start crying for no reason, everyone would be like, oh, there, Christa. Okay. Of course, we expect her to cry. But if I happen to be with a gentleman and he started crying for no reason, everybody would be like, what is going on? So, yeah, toxic masculinity is a big problem. Let's reset on the toxic masculinity, all right? Asking for help is a sign of strength. Tough people show their vulnerabilities. Some of you may have heard me talking over the last couple days in little groups and at the dinners and such. I do endurance sports. I do triathlons. I run a lot. I ride my bike long distances. I do all kinds of things like that. You could see the example of almost any sport, the people at the top of the game, whatever it is, those folks even ask for help. So, it's like professional whoever they are, doing professional whatever they're doing at the top of their game, those people are asking for help. If those people can ask for help, we can ask for help. And how did they get there? They had people help them get there. So why can't we have people help us get where we want to go? Tough people are showing their vulnerabilities. Same thing, we've all seen that guy who lost the whatever, and he's just completely gutted. In the Olympics, the people who come in second, a lot of times are on the podium and they're like not happy about it because they wanted to be first. So yeah, tough people show their vulnerabilities. And build relationships. Don't be afraid to build relationships. And you don't have to be one of those people who gets really involved in every conversation with every person. You can have a lighter conversation. You can have a smaller relationship. It's okay. I've built some relationships with some of the people that I met here, and are they going to be like my BFFs forever? Probably not, but I will have no problem reaching out to them in the future. Different levels of relationships. And the last thing I'm going to ask you to do when you're pushing the reset button on any kind of toxic masculinity or those kind of toxic behaviors is seek first to understand. Like, is someone doing something for a reason? Like, what is going on over there? Just take a minute before you're like, oh, I don't even know, I'm done with those people, oh my gosh. Be like, all right, wait a minute. What series of events led you to where you are? And again, remember, like there's a lot going on in the world right now, and you have no idea what different people are struggling with. A really easy relationship builder is if you're on Zoom with people. If you're a manager, schedule your one-on-ones every week. I know this is kind of controversial, but if you have a spot on the calendar that's always like Tuesdays at 9 a.m. is my time to talk with my manager, we can at least touch base and go, hey, I don't really have anything to talk about today. The manager can go, hey, I don't have anything to talk about today. Good, we had a good touch point. Good. But if I have to cancel it, or you have to cancel it, or whatever, then it's not like a month before we have another scheduled one-on-one, and then you're kind of like losing touch with that person. So give it a try, schedule it weekly. You can cancel them, or you can just chat. I am sure that my one-on-ones next week when I get back to work are going to be asking me about this trip right here. So there'll be a lot of questions about that. And I'm okay with it to just chat. Like every one-on-one, if you're a manager, every one-on-one does not have to be like, here's your objectives, here's your goals, do that. Make sure you do that on the regular, but it doesn't have to be every time. If you want to talk about the new pizza joint that you went to, or, something that your kids did on the weekend or whatever, like feel free to talk about that. Meet your coworkers where they are on the Zoom. Use Zoom avatars if people have special guests, aka littles, in their meetings. And if folks get the littles during the meetings and they don't usually have them there, feel free to, shorten your meeting, reschedule it, change your tactics, whatever. And try and create a safe space for people to talk about a difficult topic. I had some questions about some difficult political situations for one of my employees, and we built up a rapport, and at one point I said, hey, I have questions about this. Are you comfortable talking about it? And that person said, yeah, I'm comfortable. I could try and answer some of the questions. And then if we got to a point where she was like, I'm not good with that, then we just changed directions. But then also, she's asked me a lot of questions about, hey, what's going on in the U.S.? I don't understand this. Can you explain that to me? And we've had some really good conversations about difficult topics. But also at the same time, if she's got something that's more difficult than I want to understand weird things in the United States, she can reach out to me, and she knows I'm there to have a good conversation about something difficult. And what can you do? All right, here's the fast slides part, because I see the timer over there says only 3 minutes. Ready? Here we go. Set up your physical workspace. Now, if you are working from home and you are still working from the couch, the coffee table, the kitchen table, your bed, wherever, stop it. Go get you a sit-stand desk. Set aside a spot for your work only. Buy a good chair. Creating your little workspace will help you set those work-life boundaries that you need to help keep your brain in a good spot. Be kind to yourself. You've been through some stuff. You've seen some stuff. There's stuff going on. Just be kind. Journal. Write your thoughts down. Writing, actually, there's all kinds of studies out there about the act of actually writing. Helps reduce your stress, give you different perspective on things. It helps with emotional processing and self-discovery. So yeah, picking up an actual pen, pencil, and writing on paper, not just like using that e-pen on your tablet thing, but writing pen on paper. This one, you guys are all gonna say, Christa, you sound like my mom. Take care of yourself. Go to the doctor, go to the dentist. I joke, take yourself in for an oil change and a tire rotation. Like whatever doctors and eye care, stuff like that, all those people, make sure you go and see those. Take care of yourself, because if you're not taking care of yourself personally, you're not gonna be there to help out other folks. Prioritize sleep. Your body needs time to do some work too. If you sleep well, you get sharper concentration, better decision making, improved memory, ability to manage stress, better immune system, improved physical health, and increased energy. Your body needs time to work too. Get outside in nature. I don't think I need to lecture all y'all about that. You've got that one under control here. Hugs. Hug a loved one, hug a friend. If you are not a person who generally hugs, but you want to get into hugs, find that friend. You all have that friend who's like, oh, come here, let me hug you. Those people don't care how good your hug is or how bad your hug is. They just want to hug. So if you want to try hugs, find that friend and they'll coach you through it. I know that's a good one, right? Take some 10-minute mental breaks. During the day, you're like on Zoom all day. I'm on Zoom all day. Take some 10-minute mental breaks. Maybe buy a cheap coloring book and some crayons or colored pencils or markers or whatever, steal them from your kids. Work on a puzzle. Scale the puzzle to your space. Puzzles come in a wide range of shapes and sizes, difficulties, pieces, all that. And YouTube short videos. Those are like a minute long. You can not get lost in a TED Talk that way. You just like 1 minute. Learn a new language, also probably not hugely applicable for this crowd, but you can level up your career and your mind at the same time by learning a new language, opening yourself to new opportunities. Pamper yourself, maybe go eat in a new restaurant, get a manicure, get a massage, haircut. Do chores. Okay, Christa, too far. No, but seriously, cleaning up your house can help improve your health, especially dust mites, help reduce your clutter and anxiety. If you're having a hard time getting around to doing this, consider outsourcing it. I see I'm out of time, but I'm going to zap through these. Travel, explore somewhere new. Volunteer at like a food kitchen or a pantry or garden. Do some educational programs. Language assistance, animal shelter, STEM outreach. Start a hobby. See if there's a trial version. Level up your hobby. But make sure your hobby has healthy limits. Don't go too far. You want some quick and easy ideas? Dance, sing, stretch, relax your face. This is a good one. I had a relaxation app that talked through that, and he was like, remove your tongue from the roof of your mouth. And I often find myself that I have my tongue pressed up there, and just merely even taking a minute and doing that is one that helps me calm down. Next level, after quick and easy, interact with others or phone a friend. And if you're into some really serious decompression, you can try one of those sensory deprivations tanks. They work for some people, not for everybody. Last one, start small. Building new habits is like working out. Takes time. It can take 18 to 254 days to build a new habit. So best to give yourself 2 or 3 months before you go, flip a desk, this isn't gonna work anymore. Credits to Slides Carnival for helping with having all the inclusive people representation in the slides. And I'll have the references. When the slide deck goes up, you guys can click on all the links. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Christa. That's just about what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
We are out of time, so let me have a quick look at the questions and see if there's one that...
All right.
Actually, I love the first one because that's such a difficult one to ask. Could you open up on the first one? So, are you okay is a closed yes/no question. Should you ask open questions? What are good open questions to ask?
That is a great question. Are you okay? It's kind of like an icebreaker, like it's like, hey, how are you doing? Oh, you're like, oh yeah, I'm fine. Okay, cool. Are you okay? It leaves people open to yes or no. Most people will say, yeah, I'm fine. But it's more about listening to how they're saying it and watching what their body language is saying before you go any further. I usually like to just ask some really easy questions about super generic things like, how's your day been so far? What are you working on right now that's exciting for you? Or what are you working on right now that's very stressful, difficult, or stressful? Or if you know the person a little bit better, like, hey, how's your mom doing? Or hey, how's your kid doing? Or, how's your cat or your dog? Or things like that, just super generic things. And you can scale it depending on what your relationship is with the person. So if I know more about you, then I might ask a more pointed question. So a good example is one of my employees, their father is elderly and maybe not having the best time. So if I notice that employee is getting a little, seems like they're getting a little more frazzled, I'm like, hey, check in on your dad. How's it going? Do you need extra time to go and support your dad or go and deal with that? So, but I have that level of relationship with him. I wouldn't have the same relationship, with, say, you. I would ask you more about your dog or your cat.
Dog would work. Thanks a lot, Christa. So, guys, there are open questions up there still. My challenge to you is we're going to have a break in a couple of minutes. Ask.
Yes.
Those are really good questions. So if something here, the DevOps crowd is a phenomenal crowd. You're going to get answers. People are going to listen. I'll do a little bit of a shout out. So this is about 11 months of, neglect. But there's something coming up called Movember. And basically, look it up, guys. It's a few things. It raises money for typical male health problems. I use it because if I shave my beard, people tend to notice. Why do you do that? And I get to open up and talk about male masculine toxicity and get people to see if we can have a conversation on that. It's difficult, but that's why I do it, and I challenge you to look up Movember, see what you can help out. So it's a little tip of stuff that you can do as well. Other than that, update on the iPhone. I don't know, still don't know it's iPhone, but it's been found, it's been collected, so that's all good. When you have to brake, it's about the size of the bossebolle, whether or not you're going to be in trouble. So there's desserts out there. If they explode in your face, you're doing it really well. All right? Enjoy the break, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.